I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love when I breathe in. I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love.
That's it. So then more video and then.
Actually, that is Invocation. That's after the line of it.
Okay.
So that's very early. It's just us, we just did that. So then, when the sermon starts, anybody who's going to come up and help me with harmony,
Okay.
will come up and do that.
And we don't come up during the whole sermon, we just come up when the singing is starting.
Well, that's, I think the idea is that probably people are close enough that they can pop up very. Let's just try that because I don't exactly know how it's going to work. So John will start and I'll start and then people can come up and want to help me get
So this is the same thing, but now it's during the sermon and more involved. So funny.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
We might want to experimentate with that.
I'm the only one who's playing a tune this. So you guys have to match me. Whatever I'm at. But yeah, I've got my tune. I'm right on the C. Yeah, that was my question. So I need to be loud.
Less wax.
Okay.
Right, they could probably be used twice, whereas we often. That's much better if you play louder. It's better on my end if you play louder. Absolutely.
And you're saying louder is better.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I've got the choir mic on, so it doesn't like drain it out. I can hear you good, but the louder you play, the easier it is for me to adjust there.
Can I play too loud? Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
So, Ellen, do you think there's three, like I know it's in three parts.
Good morning, everybody. If you would like to, you're invited to light a candle of joy or sorrow before worship begins today. Whatever you're carrying, grief, gratitude, celebration, concern, it's an opportunity before worship to light a candle if you would like to. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to South Church. I'm the Reverend Ellen Quaadgras, serving in co-leadership with Kirsten Hunter, our Director of Lifespan Ministry, and in shared ministry with all of you. Welcome to those of you here in the sanctuary, and welcome to those joining us online. Whoever you are, whatever you do or do not believe, however you arrive this morning, settled or unsettled, hopeful or weary, you are welcome here. Today we begin our summer worship services. Our summer theme is experimentating, which is not, strictly speaking, a word. But someone experimented with the word experimenting, and we're going with it. This feels like a promising beginning. Summer gives us a little more room to try things, to play with the form of worship, and to listen for where the Spirit or life or love or whatever name you give the holy might be inviting us to be surprised. So this morning's service is one of those experiments. Earlier this month, Unitarian Universalists from across the country gathered for General Assembly, the annual gathering of our wider UU congregations. J is one of the ways we remember South Church is not an island, part of a living tradition, bound up with congregations and communities far beyond these walls. Each year, Sunday service at General Assembly is a special opportunity to worship with that wider movement. This year, the sermon was offered by the Reverend Jen Youngson Rue, who serves the UU Church in Eugene, Oregon. I was in a clergy group with Jen some years ago, and I expected she would have some thoughtful, nuanced, pastorally grounded things to say, and she did. So today, we have built a service around her sermon, offered in 3 parts with South Church woven around it, our prayers, our music, our time for all ages, and the presence of this gathered community. Grateful to be here this morning with Chris Kiper, our worship associate, and with South Church folk helping lead us in music. Grateful also to Jen Leiden, who's making our worship available beyond these walls, and to all our ushers and greeters and coffee makers and all those whose care helps this community thrive. A note about joys and sorrows this morning: to make room for this particular service, candle lighting took place before worship today. If you missed that opportunity and are carrying a joy or sorrow, please know you're still welcome to hold that in your heart during the service. And also, please feel free to share with me if you want to talk about what's going on in your life with me or a pastoral associate. After worship, all are invited outside for coffee and conversation, where I invite you to live into our call to be widely welcoming to one another and approach someone you do not know well to say hello. Here is your coffee hour question in the spirit of experimentating that you could use to start with. What is one experiment you tried that did not go exactly as planned, but taught you something anyway? I now invite you to silence your cell phone. We have large print hymnals in the back, as well as assistive listening devices, and we have a couple of announcements this morning. Please come on forward.
Good morning. My name is Laura, and we are the South Church 200th Committee, and we wanted to highlight the lovely t-shirts that are available. We are selling South Church merch for the 200th anniversary in your order of service. The very first QR code on the top there is for the merch. There are many different styles, as you can see. We will have both the Pocket Garden ones and the Pride ones. We still have a few physical ones available outside after the service. But you can order them online. They'll be shipped to your house as well. So I'm forgetting.
I think that's it. So we just encourage you to come see us if you have any questions about merch. And
Even ones that you don't see here.
yeah, oh yeah, there's many others online. What you don't see, there's sweatshirts, all long sleeve shirts, all sorts, different things for everyone. And there's one that we made with JetPig for the children, if they're interested in that. That'd be great. Yeah, thank you.
I ordered mine. Just waiting for it. Okay. One more announcement.
Good morning. I'm Lori Bilby, and I'm joined by fellow board members Mark Eves, Alyssa Murphy, and Andrew McGeorge, because we, as the board, want to acknowledge, in particular, the hours and hours of hard work put in by so many people, which led to a delightful and successful 37th Pocket Garden Tour last weekend. Now, right. There are many people we want to thank, and we will give them all another big hand at the end of this list. But even as your treasurer, I want to point out that this is not only a major fundraiser for South Church, and the preliminary numbers are looking like about $28,000 will be coming into our coffers, but we also note that this event raised awareness of South Church and its history, built connection to the wider community, as well as between the volunteers, and opens out avenues for people to share their skills and talents in the community and with each other. So we offer our deep gratitude and heartfelt thanks to the following. The leadership team, headed up by Joe Foster this year, with Lauren Katz, Jenny Cease, Robin Schnell, Dana Peters, Judy Colavecchio, Deanna Strand, Colleen Moynihan, Liz Ford, Janet Pulaski, Chris Martin, and Brad Landon. Right. The team also wants to thank the support they received from Mike McGrail, with support from Carrie Sherman for drafting and distributing press releases, Denise Brown, who designed the cover art and managed graphic design for tickets and posters, Jen Leiden for providing stellar admin support, keeping them organized with a smile, and Kirsten Hunter for being liaison with the staff and board and providing moral support, the 200th Committee for raising up the tour in the church and wider community through the sale of PGT shirts, and lastly, there were over 100 days of volunteers who served as garden hosts, worked at will call, distributed flags and refreshments, the musicians and the artists. So stand up if you hosted a garden, baked cookies, bought a blooms or a ticket, or participated in any way in this spectacular and special event. Stand up. All right. Now let's let the PG team know how much we value their work. Thank you.
Thank you. It takes a village, literally. Thank you, everybody. Before we formally begin, we acknowledge that South Church gathers on land known to the Abenaki and Pennacook peoples as Endakina. This land has been loved, tended, traveled, and known by indigenous peoples for thousands of years. It was also taken through colonization, displacement, broken promises, and violence. So as we begin with breath in a moment, we do not breathe in peace as escape or breathe out love as purely sentiment. May we breathe in peace as the steadiness to be present. May we breathe out love as the willingness to repair. May each breath draw us closer to truth, to humility, and to right relationship.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out
as we light our chalice here to bring us into a space of reflection and togetherness, we invite people watching at home to light a candle or chalice of their own. These words are from Jennifer Grayson. We come together as Unitarian Universalists, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods, yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change the world. Please rise in body or in spirit and join me in reciting the mission statement printed in your order of service. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people and inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community. I find that I do some of my best thinking when I'm riding my bike. The smells of the forest, the exertion of pedaling, the clarity of solitude. So around June of 2021, I decided to get on my mountain bike and clear my mind. I was deep into a year-long escapade of purchasing a piece of land and building a small home for my family. So many providential things had lined up to make this dream a reality. The last piece of the puzzle was all just about timing and execution and not making mistakes. I had designed this perfect little house within our modest budget. I had applied for all the permits, worked with the modular company to prefabricate parts of it. I secured financing, lined up subcontractors, set up the window and door orders, pieced together a down payment with some help from family members. I was about to pull off the improbable. Through sheer determination, cleverness, generosity, and luck, I had orchestrated a miracle. I was riding high as the hero of the story. Everything ahead with this project was very time sensitive. I can wait. I'll wait. And as I pedaled, I worked through the details, the sequence and the budget over and over again in my mind, threading a needle through a delicate fabric of necessary outcomes. I was riding on a familiar trail in York, luckily not far from the emergency room. And the last thing I expected to happen was to hit a familiar stump, fall from a familiar path, and shatter the top of my tibia bone into half a dozen pieces. Emergency surgery would be required. As a group of EMTs carried me out of the woods on a stretcher, the pain so acute I literally almost passed out. All I could think was, how will I make it to the closing in 2 weeks? How will I meet the tree company to flag the trees? How will I make sure the excavator shows up on time? How will I pick up materials? How will I frame the walls? In the flash of a moment, my mind preoccupied with the daunting logistics of building a house. The whole dream of building a house felt like it was ending. If I couldn't make all these things happen, how could they possibly happen? You probably see where this is going. And that's when the people showed up. The nurse at the hospital who helped me electronically sign documents. My partner lovingly cared for me so I could heal over the next few months. My coworkers showed up. One of them mowed my lawn without even asking or being asked. He didn't ask me either, but another one helped manage the site work company. Family members volunteered their time. A friend went out and flagged all the trees to be cut. Another one helped frame the walls. At each turn when things felt impossible, it wasn't my willpower that got us through. It was everyone else pulling weight they didn't have to. You could say the universe was teaching me a lesson in the forced downtime. I was able to process accepting all this help. I was able to adapt to the new circumstances. I learned to let go of trying to control the future. And years later, when I gratefully look around the house and the property, I see the hands and the hearts of all those who helped make it possible. Their impact is imprinted on the landscape as a steadfast reminder that we are greater together. Please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 347.
All right. I would like to invite any young people or anyone young at heart who would like to come forward for our time for all ages. This is your moment. It's nice up here. You get front row seats to the candles and everything happening up at the front. Come on down. Hi. I hear the carpet is more comfortable than it looks. I don't know if that's true. So earlier, I mentioned that this morning's service is connected to this larger gathering that happened a couple weeks ago, our General Assembly. It is a gathering that draws congregations from all over the country, I think even all over the world. And there we learn together, we worship together, we make decisions together. It's part of what makes our faith vibrant and fresh and alive. I am curious if any of you before today had heard of General Assembly. Anyone heard of it? Many of you, not all of you. You're going to hear a little bit about it today. You're going to experience a little bit about it today. One of the things I love about General Assembly is that it reminds us we are part of something larger. We're not just this room. We're not just these people, as wonderful as we are. We're not just this building. We are part of a larger family of people striving to live values of love and justice and courage and care. So this morning for our Time for All Ages, I would like to share a dream that was offered at the Sunday morning worship service last week. It is based on a poem from Aurora Levins Morales, who is a Puerto Rican Jewish poet and activist. And in this poem, 10,000 grandmothers gather together. And you may wonder why only grandmothers, why not 10,000 grandfathers or aunts or uncles or teachers? I don't know. But maybe because grandmothers have a reputation for getting things done. Anyway, 10,000 grandmothers gather together, and they begin with a breath. They begin with a pause. They begin with noticing. They begin with slowing down. And then in that gap, they see that the world is hurting. They see that people are afraid. They see that there is injustice. People are being treated poorly. They see people are lonely. They see that people are unsure of what's going to happen next. They see all of this. And they don't say, I wonder when someone important is going to come and make this better. Instead, they say, will be us. Will be us. When we're younger, we often look to grown-ups to fix things when it's too much for us. But one day, if we're lucky, we wake up and we say, oh, I'm a grown-up now. And sometimes when things are hard, we look for heroes to help us make things better. But then we may wake up and say, maybe it's our turn. Not because we're perfect, not because we know everything, but because we're here. So in that dream, one of the grandmothers says, wake up, put on your shoes. I am bringing bandages and a bag of guavas from my trees. Meet me at the corner. Let's go. Now, you might think to yourself, bandages? Guavas? What's up with that? But if you think about it, what are bandages for? Yeah, what are bandages for?
To help people if they get hurt.
Yeah, they help people if they get hurt. They help people heal. And what about guavas? What are guavas? Anyone know what a guava is? It's a fruit, so it's sweet. It's bringing some sweetness to the gathering. One thing I notice about what this grandmother brings is that she doesn't bring everything. She doesn't bring a whole hospital. She doesn't bring a whole grocery store. She brings what she has. Earlier this morning, we heard opening words. Chris building a house and suddenly needing a lot of help. And then one person helped with one thing, another person brought something else, and before you knew it, things came together. And now, Chris looks around his property and he sees the love of all of those people woven into his home and his living space. And I think that's how love works sometimes. No one brings everything, but everyone brings something. So what I wonder is, what would you bring? What would you bring if the people of South Church were meeting at the corner after worship? What would any of you want to bring? What gift would you bring to that gathering? Anyone? What was that? Snap peas, perhaps from your garden. Yeah, all right. Anyone else? What would you bring? Bubbles, a little joy, a little lightness. Yeah, what else would you bring? Coffee, yep, let's all wake up. We heard the grandmother telling us to wake up. Yeah, hun?
Food.
Yeah, food. We need some energy. I love that. What's that? A song. We would want to bring music. Yeah, I love that. Maybe we'd bring a listening ear. Maybe someone would bring a really good joke. I would appreciate that. The beautiful thing is nobody has to bring everything. But when we all bring something, somehow, often it turns out to be enough. So, as those of you going to your religious education classes go, and anyone else who's happening to be hearing this, if the world called and said, meet me at the corner, what gift would you bring? And now we sing our youngest outside to be with your religious education teachers, and we'll sing you out.
The offering is a time to reflect on the abundance of support and love that this church offers, recognizing the financial responsibility of operating this historic building and providing meaningful programs and services to our community. During the month of June, our collection will be shared with the Crossroads House, providing emergency shelter to unhoused individuals and families, and providing them with the tools and resources to return to permanent housing. The shelters open 24/7, and they currently house around 75 people per night. The QR code in your order of service provides a link to contribute digitally. Please give as you are able. The offering will now be gratefully received.
They see the way blockaded and they roll back the stone.
let us gather our hearts and minds in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love, holy mystery known by many names and no name, we come to this moment carrying much. We carry the news of the world, the worries of our own lives, the griefs we have tucked away because there was laundry to fold, emails to answer, people to care for, and the day kept moving. So now, help us pause and, like the grandmothers, look around, take a breath, and see. Make of this sanctuary a small gap, one breath deep. A place between what has been and what might yet be. A place where we do not have to rush immediately to the next task, the next argument, the next plan, the next brave thing. Let this be a place where we remember we are not only useful, we are beloved. We are not only responsible, we are held. We are not only called to serve, we are called to be changed. In this gap, here, now, let there be room for blessing. Let there be room for healing. Let there be room for the ancestors, the teachers, for stories and songs that have carried love through harder times than these. Let there be room for courage that does not harden the heart. Let there be room for grief that does not swallow joy. Let there be room for love strong enough to become practice. As we listen, may we remember who we are and to whom we belong. May we be shaped by what is holy, steadied by one another, and summoned again and again by love. Amen. Amen, amen.
10,000 ancestors. Last night, somewhere between the end of all we know and the faint beginning of something new, a dream emerged. 10,000 ancestors from all corners of the earth moved into a gap, one breath deep, into the space between all that has already happened and all that is yet to come. They carry songs, they carry stories, and they are calling us to join them. These rich images come from Aurora Levins Morales, a Puerto Rican Jewish poet and activist. In those days, immediately following the October 7th attack in Israel, Morales struggled to find a way through the atrocity to something human. The poet gives us a summons to show up at the corner. But first, she invites us into a gap, one breath deep. Here, the ancestors cup their hands around our hearts. Here is blessing. Here is healing. Here is transformation. Here is worship. For many people living in the United States, these past several years have left us profoundly and deeply unsettled. We have been feeling the meanness of the world in genocide and in warfare, in the hoarding of resources that leaves millions without basic human needs, in policy changes that say some lives are more precious than others. The ground is shaking and it feels like everyone is on edge. The world that we thought we knew doesn't exist anymore, not in the same way. The Turkish journalist Ece Temelkuran writes about the decline of democracy, and she says that we are grieving in future tense. We're grieving in future tense, grieving what has already been slipping away, even before it's gone, grieving what has already been lost and what may yet be taken. Some of this grief may be new for people who have not had to name this before. The structures of white supremacy have remained well hidden in the background of life, quietly shaping what was accepted as normal, natural, or simply the way things are. But now, what has been hidden is becoming harder to ignore, and more people are waking up to the urgency of this moment, rousing them from what the poet calls the sleep of the world. Now, I know that many of you are already awake. You are doing everything that you can to proclaim every life precious, everyone deserving a chance to live fully and freely. Unitarian Universalists have long been a people of action. We know how to organize, we know how to show up. We are practiced in the art of doing. And if we're honest, that strength carries a shadow. Our religious tradition has been shaped in part by a culture that teaches us to measure our worth by what we accomplish, to equate goodness with effort, and to feel most at home when we're busy and striving. Pair this with a hurting world begging for our attention, and then things like rest can feel irresponsible. Asking for help can feel weak. And simply sitting in stillness can sometimes feel unbearable as doubt and worry rise to the surface of our lives. That's why this gap is so important. Whether it's one breath deep or 1 hour deep, This is a moment made sacred by our intentions and our promises. Here, in the place between where we've been and where we dare to dream, our lives are shaped and molded by our spiritual practices of worship, small group sharing, and deep study. Mark Nepo says that when we meet like this, we aren't just being self-reflective, we are strengthening the immune system of humanity. We are strengthening the immune system of humanity. Here is where we remember who we are and to whom we belong. Here is where we practice love as a response to the love that first summoned us. Last night,
I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love when I breathe in. I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love when I breathe in. I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love.
Cambodia. There was an extraordinary Cambodian monk named Mahagasananda who survived the brutality of the Khmer Rouge regime. Later, he served in the refugee camps, and in one of those camps, he opened a Buddhist temple, despite threats from the authorities that anyone who attended would be killed. Still, on opening day, more than 20,000 people gathered. These were people who had lost nearly everything: families shattered by war, communities terrorized by violence, people who had suffered beyond what most of us can even imagine. And there, in that dusty square, Mahagasananda led them in a timeless Buddhist teaching. Hatred never ceases by hatred. By love only is hatred healed. This is the ancient and eternal law. Thousands and thousands of people began chanting those words together, not because love is sentimental, not because love is easy, but because they understood that only love could build a future worth living in. After the 2024 General Assembly, I came home and told some of my interfaith colleagues that 80% of the Unitarian Universalist delegates had voted to declare love as the center of our faith. One of them, who's a good friend of mine, kind of sighed and said, love is very abstract. It means 100 different things and it means nothing at all. And religion has been preaching and teaching love for the last 2,000 years, but look at the way we treat each other. I know what they mean. I've heard that before from Unitarian Universalists, too. Love has become a cliche, a greeting card, a slogan, a marketing campaign, a word stretched so thin that it can barely hold any weight at all. Even when Dr. King invoked love, they called it emotional bosh, weak, sentimental, passive. And some of us have learned to distrust the word entirely. because the word love has been used to excuse harm, to silence truth, to avoid accountability, and to demand submission. But without an ethic of love, human beings start treating each other as objects, as obstacles and problems to be dealt with. A people organized around fear will produce punishment. A people organized around greed will produce trillionaires. But a people disciplined by love can begin to repair the world. This is why the poet calls us into the gap, one breath deep, before sending us out into the world. In this space, we remember our religious inheritance, a treasure carried by our Universalist ancestors who claimed that God's love was so complete that no one would ever be outside of this love, no matter what. And our Unitarian ancestors who admired Jesus as a fully realized human being, showing us that our capacity for love is far greater than we can imagine. So, what do we mean by love when we dare to place it at the center of our faith? There are so many kinds of love in our lives. Romantic love can be beautiful. Love for friends and family can be deep and fulfilling. Love, as we speak of it in our congregations and in our practice communities, though, is a little bit different because that love that we practice in those communities does not require fondness, affection, or any positive feelings at all. As the psychiatrist M. Scott Peck wrote, love is not a vague sentiment, but an intention and a discipline. He says, it is the willingness to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Sometimes that can look grand and heroic. Just as often, it looks like that couple who drives an elder member to church, even though it's out of the way and it's not so easy to coordinate, and sometimes it conflicts with other things they want to do. It looks like two people fighting as they're organizing an event and resisting the urge to turn away, willing to sit in discomfort long enough to speak honestly and to find their way toward new understanding. It looks like taking the time to get to know a stranger in need, learning their story, and welcoming them into the community as a full participant rather than an object of charity. It looks like making a personal promise to talk with one new person during coffee hour instead of huddling with their best friends. It looks like forgiving someone who hurt you because the burden on your own heart has become too great to carry. Love is so much more than what we feel. It is a discipline we choose freely and willingly for the sake of another's growth and well-being, including our own. My friends, I know that love is a word that carries many, many different meanings. Its power can feel fragile in the face of the forces gathered against us. At times, we may even doubt that love will prevail. Still, I am profoundly grateful to the Unitarian Universalists that we have not given up on love.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love.
Spirit, in a community that embraces many spiritual perspectives and seeks to draw the circle wider, love is our common language. It allows us to speak of the mystery we cannot name, the goodness of life that exceeds us, and the sacred ties that bind us each to all. As Nora said, flowers cannot bloom without the sun, and we cannot bloom without love. When you fall, love is what catches you. Love is the everlasting light in the dark. So, are you ready to be disciples of love? Yes. All right. Now, I know that talking about discipleship may feel unfamiliar in a Unitarian Universalist setting. We have seen how easily discipleship can be distorted when it becomes a cult of personality rather than a liberating path. For some people, the word disciple carries painful associations: control, hierarchy, the surrender of one's own spiritual authority. But the discipline and the discipleship that I'm talking about and inviting us all into is all about studying love. It's about practicing love. And it's about moving in the world having been formed by love. Every path of formation can reorder a life and give it a new center of gravity, because every discipline asks something of us. To be a disciple of love is to allow ourselves to be reshaped and stretched, often beyond what is comfortable, especially when we are called to love our enemy. Or, in UU words, to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of all, even of those who would use their power to deny that dignity to others. Discipleship is not easy, and yet following the way of love is what keeps us from being consumed by the very forces that we are trying to resist. Without a discipline of love, our activism will burn out. Our longing for justice can become untethered from mercy, and we risk becoming spiritually starved. I know what that feels like. When I returned to parish ministry after years in healthcare chaplaincy, I was so swept up in the busyness of the congregation and the urgency of meeting this moment that I nearly forgot the very practices that made such work possible. My physical health suffered. My mental health suffered. And this is why the ancestors, in their wisdom, call us into the gap, call us into moments of spiritual practice. Before we fill our bags with scented guava and bandages and rush out into the world, those ancestors call us to first gather in places like this, where grief is never denied, where joy is welcomed with abandon, a place where people return to the practices that shape them, where disciples study love carefully, practice it imperfectly, and when they fail, begin again, begin again. The world is weary of righteous, performative righteousness. Instead, this hurting world needs people who can remain human in inhumane times. It needs people who can tell the truth without surrendering to cruelty, who can resist despair without pretending everything is going to be okay. So, my friends, the world is calling us to the corner. So gather up your things, take one another's hands, and let's go together as disciples of love.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
We have breathed in peace. We have breathed out love. Not peace as an escape, not love as a soft idea, but peace as steadiness to stay present. Love as a practice that sends us back into the world with our hearts open. This morning we've been invited into the gap, that sacred pause where we remember who we are and to whom we belong. And we have heard the call of the ancestors. Wake up, put on your shoes, meet me at the corner, let's go. Please rise in body or in spirit as we sing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Be
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and into the world until we are together again.
May we go from this place awake to the earth beneath our feet, awake to reason, compassion, conscience, and to the ministry that belongs to us all. We've breathed in peace, we've breathed out love, and now, as the postlude will remind us, let us begin right where we are, right here, in the light, with our hearts in the light, open wide. Amen.
We are here in the light.
you came all the way from